Sure, let me know. Oh, there it goes. Okay, hey everyone, I'm Tyann, and I'm the chapter lead for the Dallas Fort Worth for the Chamber. And so today we are going to do the part 2 of today's title is 10 Essential Steps to Build a Marketing Plan. And we have, so I'm sure I got this right. So they're twins, okay? Lily has a twin. Her sister is in the front, right, Patricia? And
Yeah.
Lily is in the back. And I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves and start the meeting. And I wanted to add that if you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to chime in. This is interactive, so don't feel shy by any means if you want to have a question, or you could put it in the chat as well, and I'll keep track of the chat. Okay.
Tyann, can you give us sharing capabilities, please?
Oh, that will have to be Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer.
If she can. Jennifer, are you there?
I think she walked away.
Oh no. Let me see if
No, you should have it now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There
it is.
Perfect.
Make sure you're doing the right one. There you
go. Alrighty. So is everyone seeing our nice slideshow?
Yes.
Great. So as Tyann said, I'm Lily. This is my twin sister Patricia. Today we're doing 10 steps to a marketing plan that you'll actually use, because a marketing plan you don't use serves nobody. As an introduction, my sister and I have been in business for, I think it's over 13 years now. I think coming on 14 this December. We spent most of our careers as entrepreneurs as website designers, and it's only within the past year or so that we're transitioning into coaching. And the main focus of our coaching is helping military spouses create profitable businesses, because as we know, entrepreneurship is a great option for military spouses, but sometimes you may just need a little bit of guidance to get you to where you need to go. And that's what we're here for.
Okay, so as Lily points out, if you don't have clients or customers, you don't really have a business, you have a very expensive hobby. And so we're here to help you get the word out about your business so the people that need you can find you and give you their money. And we want to focus on what is in the plan, because I know a lot of people get caught up in, oh, it should look like this, it should look like this. But unless you're pitching for funding, you can always pretty it up later. For the most part, we just need to know what we're doing, when we're doing, and all those details, so you can actually get the word out about your business.
So here are the 10 steps. The first one is defining your target market, or ICA. This is something that we covered in the first workshop, but we're going to go over it a little bit again today. The next one is figuring out where your target market hangs out. Then you need to select the different marketing tactics you're going to use. Then you'll need to drill down each tactic, and then create a schedule of how often you'll be doing these things.
The next it actually goes off the other thing, where it says you choose the marketing method, figuring out the specifics of what you're doing, decide how often you're doing this marketing, figuring out what resources you need, and track what is and isn't working. And we're going to go into each of these steps one by one, but this is just kind of giving you an overview of steps 1 through 10.
I think that slide is wrong. You think so? We're going to keep going. It's fine. It's fine. So in our first workshop, we talked about how you have different options for defining your target market, or ICA, which is ideal client avatar. The most common one is creating an ideal client profile, meaning my ideal client is a woman in her 30s to 40s. Her average income is $40,000. She has 3 children, things like that. And the other one is something that we've kind of done for our own business, which is creating a green flag and a red flag list. I'm not sure if we're the first ones to come up with this idea. I doubt we are, but it's something that we've been doing in our own business for a long time, because both as website designers and as coaches, we're not really stuck with a specific kind of business. We don't have to work necessarily with just one industry. So we find it's easier to look at things like this to figure out who we want to work for. or who we want to work with and how we want to find them, rather than trying to create an ideal client profile.
So, as Lily mentioned, one of the options is to create an ideal profile by defining your client's demographics: age, location, gender, income, level of education, anything that you know about your ideal client that could help you figure out where to show up for them and how to best show up for them to get their attention. And the other option is to choose clients based on green and red flags, like we have done for our own business. And it's not totally dissimilar from the ICA, but it's just taking other things into consideration that you might not when you're typically drawing up those profiles. So, for example, for us, our green flags are clients who understand the importance of staying in their zone of genius. So you're good at what you're good at, I'm good at what I'm good at, and you hired me because website design was my thing. So you want to focus on doing your thing, like
Acupuncturist for some reason.
massage therapy, bookkeeper, whatever it is that you do, that you can focus on doing that, and you leave the website design to us. Or another green flag is clients who are in the right stage of business. Because on the one hand, we want to help everyone, especially obviously people in the military community who want to start a business or grow their existing business, but not everyone is in the right stage of business to work with us. So if we want to design custom websites that cost $3,000, I'm sure there are people in the community that are a good fit for that, but someone who's just starting out doesn't have a clear idea of what their services are or who they're working with and don't have any kind of branding set up, we could work with them, we could take their money, but we're probably not going to be able to give them what they're looking for because they're not in the right place in their business to be working with website designers and investing a ton of money into it. Another green flag for us is clients who love our quirkiness, because we are, I think quirky is probably a good word for it. It's probably the nicest way to say it, but we have our sense of humor, and we like clients who have a sense of humor and who get it when you make references and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with people who don't, I guess, who don't want that in their business, but then those people would probably enjoy working with designers who are a little bit less like us, I guess is the easiest way to put that. And then as far as red flags, clients who prefer to communicate by phone, we have found that communicating on the phone sometimes is the best to just get a quick question answered. But when you're talking about certain things, it's best to have it in writing. Also, because for some people, it's easier for them to explain what they want when they write it out. So if somebody tells us, I have some thoughts on my website, we're like, okay, that's great. Write it down, and then we can have a paper trail. Because otherwise, you can be like, hey, remember that phone conversation we had 3 weeks ago where I mentioned that one thing I wanted to change on that one page, and I'm like, no, I don't remember that. So clients who prefer to communicate by phone are not necessarily our best clients. That doesn't mean we won't work with people, but it's not an ideal situation for us because our work is best done with a written trail. And similar to red flag number one is clients who don't respect our boundaries. So if we tell our clients we are not available for like on the spot website design because that's not how our process works, and they're like, well, I want to be able to see over your shoulder and see every little thing you're doing, they're not necessarily wrong in wanting that kind of level of service, but that's not something that we provide. So that would not be a good fit for us. There might be other designers out there that love designing on the spot. They would be a perfect client for them. But any client that doesn't respect us and our process is not going to be a good fit for us.
And I definitely think one thing that we've learned in business, especially with people who are just starting, is they think that they don't have the right to set red flags. But the reality is you can set boundaries at any point in your business.
And you should.
And you should. I mean, obviously they should be reasonable. But the reality is, again, if you don't like phone calls, don't take clients who primarily prefer phone calls. Or if you love to work on your own schedule, like for us, we generally work at night because we have children and stuff happens. But if they need someone who only works 9 to 5 every single day, then it's just not a good fit. And honestly, deciding on these green and red flags is just as much a benefit for the client as it is for you, because you want to be able to provide them the best services for them. And sometimes the best service is somebody else.
Good.
Okay. And so next is figuring out where your target market hangs out. Once you know who you're marketing to, you need to figure out where. Social media is the most obvious example with different platforms like Facebook, X, TikTok, LinkedIn. Different markets will hang out in different places, but also different places have to be handled differently. You can also consider networking groups, sort of like what we're doing here right now with the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce, as well as online directories. I don't know if you all are familiar with Spousely, which is a military spouse owned directory where you can list your business and your products, and other websites that are industry specific. We don't really have any of those.
But I'm sure they're out
I'm
there.
sure there are there. Marketing can be very expensive and very time consuming, and you will get much better results if you're actually where your target market is. For example, I was reading a coaching book this week and it said something like Pinterest has this many visits or views a month, but you can spend all the time in the world marketing on Pinterest. If your target market isn't there, you're not going to get any results. You're just shouting into the void. So it's very important to kind of figure out where your target market is so you can meet them there.
But also, I think we can all agree that everybody only has a certain amount of time, and some of us have even less than others. So you want to be able to spend what time you do have making targeted efforts in marketing your business. So that way, if you only have 5 hours, you're going to make sure those 5 hours are hours well spent. So you can actually be connecting with potential clients instead of random people who probably aren't going to hire you. Go ahead.
So next is selecting your marketing tactics. The ones we've listed here, obviously are not all of them, but they're the ones that are most common. So there's social media, blogging, paid ads, online directories, email marketing, and borrowing people's audiences. Borrowing other people's audiences isn't actually just any one thing, because you could do guest posting on other people's blogs. You could do features and interviews. You can do guest speaking like what we're doing today. The main point is just if you don't already have a large audience, you would find someone else who does have a large audience and sort of borrow it by sharing your expertise with that new audience. So yeah, next slide.
So now that you know what you're going to be doing, you need to get into the specifics of it. So for example, social media, what networks are going to be using, what type of content are you going to be sharing, what subjects will you talk about, paid ads, where will you run ads, what will your budget look like, what will you advertise, who will write your copy, because that copy doesn't write itself, as we know from experience. Blogging, what will you post about on your blog? Are you going to do video, short form, long form? Like, what is it going to look like? Well, how much content are you going to need? What kind of content are you going to be making? And it's a similar thing with email marketing. So you're going to do an email list. What kind of content are you going to need to create to offer your freebie and then, actually send out the emails? If you're unlike us and you actually send out your emails.
Like you're supposed to.
Like you're supposed to. And then the borrowing other people's audiences. Whose audience do you want to get in front of? What formats will you use? Podcasts, interviews, guest posts. The beauty of doing the borrowing of other people's audiences is that you can use the same topic and the same ideas in multiple places. So you can leverage the same thing over and over and get it seen by more people.
Yeah, one thing we would actually recommend is coming up with like a signature talk or a signature topic that you can share multiple times, because first of all, no content lives that long. Honestly, when you create something and you post it 5 seconds later, people are looking at something else. So if you share the same thing over and over again, it's actually a good thing. It'll keep it fresh in people's minds. But also, as Patricia said, if you're working with multiple different people and their audiences, it won't matter if you're sharing the same thing over and over again. If anything, it's just a way to kind of demonstrate your expertise. And then next is creating a schedule. Now, with most marketing methods, there's no hard and fast rule about how often you should be engaging. What is important though is consistency. It's better to be posting or sending e-zines once a month, every month on the first Friday, than to post every day for a week, disappear for months, and then come back again for another week. Not that we know anything about that. That said, it's also to remember that as I mentioned, that most content doesn't have a long life. Don't hesitate to repeat yourself or use the same content but in a slightly different format. One of the easiest way to create content for social media or even for any of these other outlets is to take one piece of content and use it in different ways. So you create a video and you post that on YouTube or Instagram, and then you turn around and use the transcript for a blog post, and then you use that for Facebook content. So one piece of content can actually
Be used multiple
be
times.
used multiple times.
And you never know, the same people aren't going to find you in the same way, right? So one person might connect with that content on YouTube, but somebody else is going to find you on Facebook, or somebody else was already checking out your blog, or they were on your LinkedIn page. So there's nothing wrong with saying the same thing in different places, sometimes in a different format, because you never know what's going to catch somebody's attention. And then when you see what's most effective, you can always decide what you want to do more or less of, which we'll cover later. But just don't feel, if you feel like you're repeating yourself too much, you're probably not. People have a short attention span. I have a short attention span, and you just got to keep reminding them of these things over and over.
And as far as creating a posting schedule, if you Google when is the best time to post on social media, you'll get a million different answers. Depending on who's telling you, you'll get a million different answers. And the only answer is whenever your audience is on social media. Okay. And this is one of those things where you should create a schedule, track it for a while to see what kind of response you get, and then adjust it based on your responses. Because what's best for one person's business is not necessarily the best for yours. And the only way to figure that out is by posting, tracking reactions, and going that way to adjust best to your audience and not just necessarily what generic marketers would say is the best for you.
Although if you're really stuck, you can use like a tool, like what was the one you were using?
I think it's buffer.ly. I don't know if they've changed their name since then, but it used to be called Buffer.
Something called recur posts, where they'll literally be like, find an ideal time for me to post this, and you could try that out, or you could pick a random time, but try not to get too stuck on it, because you can always change it later. But if you're really, really stuck, you can look into tools that will kind of give you a starting point of a good time to post your content.
And also, again, if no one sees your post, save it and share it again later. Problem solved.
So the next thing to think about is the different resources that you're going to need. So for social media, like we were just talking about, what tools are you going to use to create your content? What tools will you use to schedule and track your posts? Facebook has always had like their internal means of posting, and I hate it with a passion. So we don't use it.
It's very difficult to use.
It's so clunky. So those are the things that you have to consider, right? Like even if you're like, in theory, I should be using this, if you hate using it, you're probably not going to use it. Kind of like that treadmill that just sits in your living room and doesn't get any use except to lay your clothes on. Oh, that's just me. Okay. But so the point
also,
is,
the other thing to consider is if you're using more than one social media profile, which let's face it, most people are, using a tool that will let you post to multiple at the same time is a much better idea than logging into Facebook and logging into Instagram and then logging into TikTok. The easier things are for you, the more likely you are to stick to this. That's the important thing to remember. So even though in theory you could use Facebook, saying it, if it makes your life harder, don't. It's
Right.
kind of that simple.
right. And it's the same thing that goes with basically any kind of marketing that you're using, right? It all boils down to what tools are you using to create your content, and then what are you using to get your content out there, and then what are you using to track your efforts. And basically anything you want to engage in, you can go from free to expensive, and you can go from easy to use to not so easy to use. So it all depends on what you need, right? But just keep in mind that, sometimes things are free for a reason, and sometimes it might be worth at least a minor investment, because a lot of these things will have like free or low cost for just getting started, and then as your accounts get bigger, or you have more traffic, or you have more activity, then it gets more expensive. So
someone mentioned Canva in the comments, and I think Canva is a great example, right? I'm pretty sure Canva still has a free level, but if you do the paid level, you can use way more of their pictures. You can do publishing and all of that. So like, sure, you could not pay their $12 a month, or you could save yourself tons of time and just pay it. And in business, as an entrepreneur, you either have money or you have time. You can't. If you don't have neither, maybe it's time to look at what you're doing. Usually you will have one or the other. So if you do not have money to outsource, if you do not have money to pay for expensive tools, sometimes you kind of just you got to bootstrap and do it yourself, but it is generally more time consuming that way.
Right. And so when you're getting ready to do all these things, get started with all these things, a great place to start is to look what you already have and what you can use, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel when you don't have to. Because me and Lily have like a ton of content that we've never used for one reason or another. And so every time we think we're going to do this again, we should look at all that stuff. And sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't.
And one resource that I'm not sure everybody knows about that we are absolutely in love with is a website called ivorymix.com. And it's exactly what it sounds like, ivorymix.com. It started out, we've been with Ivory Mix since they first started, which is why we only pay $10 a month. And I guarantee their membership now is
It's not $10.
It's more than that. But it started out as just stock photos, right? At the time, that's all we were using for, stock photos. But she has now built up her database where she has courses that you can take. She has courses that you can sell. So you would just take what she has, put your branding on it, and sell it. She also has a lot of content for churning out a lot of social media content that you just copy and paste her stuff. She even has this AI chat prompts where you say, what does my sort of client look for? What are their pain points? Because AI is only helpful if you know the right questions to ask, and her AI prompts do that for you. And no, we're not affiliates. I mean, technically we are, but we don't really care if you use our link or not. I just absolutely recommend checking them out for people who are trying to figure out how to create a bunch of content in a very little amount of time. Okay. And then the next step is to kind of put all this together, right? And you know, as we said before, don't get too caught up on what it's going to look like. It can literally just be a Word doc that says, every Monday, I'm going to do this. Every Tuesday, I'm going to do this. You just need it all written down together in one place so that you know what your efforts are and how you'll be tracking them. One tool we would actually recommend for this is Notion. Notion, if you haven't heard of it, it's sort of similar to Evernote, I think, but slightly more robust. It has databases, it has pages. I could go on forever about Notion, but it's a great way to both track your efforts and to also track all of the content that you're going to be creating. If you don't know how to use it yourself, you can go on Etsy and search Notion templates like business dashboard, marketing dashboard, and you'll have a great jumping off point for tracking your stuff. But also, if you really want to make it pretty, you can go to Canva and search marketing plan. I did it last night, so I know that there are some, and then you can make it pretty for yourself. So you'll actually stick to it if that's what it takes.
Okay, next thing up is to actually do the thing. Because I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the planning, we don't actually do the thing. And we definitely are not guilty of that more than once or twice a week. So if you want to actually have customers in your business, it's time to go do all that stuff that you said that you were going to do. So create content. You can make it easier by using the templates or content kits from websites like the one we mentioned, Ivory Mix, and then schedule your content and then make the pitches. Tell people, hey, I know about a thing. I want to talk to your people about this thing, and I'll be there when you tell me to show up.
And one of the great ways to do this is Facebook groups, right? There are multiple Facebook groups that are specifically for like searching for guest experts or searching for podcast guests. And yes, in those groups, especially if they have like hundreds of thousands of members, it can kind of feel like just shouting in the void. But I feel like if you are making targeted pitches to people who will really be interested in what you have to say, and you have your pitch well written, that you still have more of an odds of getting onto these shows than you would if you just didn't try it all. Like the pitch you don't make is the one you don't get. It's really that simple. But yeah, definitely check out Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups for sources of like features and podcasting opportunities, because that's a great way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was in one of those groups that's about finding podcasts, and you know, people were always posting, I'm looking to guest post and all this stuff. And then twice in 1 week, somebody's like, oh, I'm looking for women entrepreneurs who want to tell their story and share what they've learned about their journey. And I replied to both, and I recorded both of those last week. And it's because I responded to the post and then followed up about it when they reached out to me. So it's all about showing up for yourself and actually following through so that you can land those opportunities.
And then the next thing is to track your results. And the first thing we say is be careful of vanity metrics. As any experienced entrepreneur will tell you, likes and comments do not necessarily equal dollars, right? You can have a million likes on your thing and never land a single client from it. But in contrast, you can get very little interaction. Oh, Matchmaker FM. Oh, okay. So Tyann says Matchmaker.fm is another great place for opportunities for guests or podcasting. I did not know that. I will be adding it to my list. But so a coaching book that I was reading the other day mentioned about an accountant who makes posts on LinkedIn, and his posts are sort of, if you've gotten yourself into a lot of financial trouble because you made a lot of stupid financial decisions, you can work with me. And she said that people aren't going to comment on his post because they're not going to admit they made stupid financial decisions. But if they have seen his post, they may still then contact him in private. But so you may think this guy's not getting any likes or comments, so that must mean he's not getting any clients. That's not true. And so one of the most important things in your business is to figure out what are the metrics that actually matter, right? Because simply having traffic to your website, if it's all bot traffic, doesn't help you. Simply having a bunch of people in a Facebook group you've created but nobody engages doesn't help you. So figure out what the metrics are that actually matter and then track those, because that is what will help you figure out what is most effective in your marketing and what you should keep doing versus what you should stop doing.
But also, and this can't be said enough, that quality is better than quantity, right? You can have a small audience, but they be super engaged with you. And anytime you put something out, they get so excited over it. They're like, I want to give you my money. Like, it doesn't matter how many, like, I would rather take an audience of like 500 people that are always excited about my work than an audience of 10,000 who once in a while might click on something I post. So in at least for the most part, quality over quantity when you're talking about your marketing and who you're connecting with. And then lesson 9.5, keep going.
Yeah, see, that slide was definitely wrong.
See, nobody's perfect. Not even us after 14 years in this game. So, I hope that makes you feel better about yourself. But, one of the most important lessons that we've learned is that most things take time and almost everything is a numbers game, right? Many people will make one post, get no engagement and stop, or they'll keep going for a couple weeks and not see results and give up. But you never know how many lurkers you have that just don't say anything. Like I had somebody email me and was like, oh my God, I read your e-zine every week. I'm like, you do? I send out an e-zine every week, but she never said anything up until that moment. And like, you never know who's reading your content and taking it in, and that they might just be waiting for the right time to reach out to you. So, and you never know that what you're saying might be what that person needs to hear. So don't get too discouraged if not every single thing you put out there goes viral, because that's not what we're here for.
But also in terms of everything is a numbers game. Conversion rates are a thing. People will send one email out to their list of 500 people and only 10 people will open the email. They'll say, I didn't make a single sale. Yeah, because that's how conversion rates work. It's something like 1 or 2% of your audience will ever buy anything at any given point. Now, that's not how it always works, but that's average. So if you're at that or less than that, it's normal. So you can't launch to a community of 500 and wonder why you didn't have 500 sales.
Right.
That's not how it works. And I think too many people, and I only say that because you may get discouraged and think my product or service must suck. That's why no one bought it. No, you just didn't get it in front of enough people,
right,
or in front of the right people.
Right.
Hence, all of this tracking and adjusting that we are telling you about.
So the last part is basically the rinse and repeat. So based on your tracking, do more of what works, adjust what didn't, and throw away the rest, right? What works for other people isn't going to work for you. And anybody that tells me I have a foolproof one size fits all marketing plan for business coaches, I don't believe you, because why would that be a thing? So, just focus on what's been working for you and the things that make sense for your business, and, try to ignore the rest of the noise. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? Especially when it comes to marketing, especially when it comes to making money in your business. There's a lot of noise out there, and a lot of people are ready to tell you, I know exactly how to solve your problem. Just give me lots of money. And you have to be careful about buying into that stuff.
And I mean, using our website design business specifically, a lot of people would think we used SEO, we used digital marketing. No, we just went and talked to people. We attended networking events. We got a lot of referrals. We didn't really use digital marketing when it came to our website design business, but we didn't really have an issue landing clients because a majority of the people we talked to were warm leads, were people who already knew exactly who we were from our reputation. And that was enough. Now, some people may think that's strange that it wasn't our website that was landing us primary money, but it is what it is. And so, if we had gone against that and said, no, we're going to spend thousands on SEO and marketing dollars, it wouldn't have made any sense. It would have been a waste of money. And so you have to meet your audience where they are, and not really worry so much about the shoulds because they usually don't matter. So that's it for this presentation. If you visit that link, milspousemomentum.com/thank you MS. That's supposed to say MSCC, but follow that link because it's correct. It has the PowerPoint from last time, including the one-page business plan worksheet, and it has this PowerPoint as well, so you can get it.
That we will correct before we put it up.
And if you go to that page, there's also links to our Instagram and
Means our LinkedIn, and our Facebook.
So you can connect with us there. Our actual website, if you go to the main page, milspousemomentum.com, is currently just that thank you page because our site is currently undergoing redos. So yeah. Hope that was useful.
That was very useful. Thank you guys. And you know what? I love how your guys' sense of humor is so. Oh, sorry, my guinea pigs hear my voice and they're screaming. I hope that's not a pain in the background.
No, you're fine.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, your guys' sense of humor is just, you guys mix together so well. But you know, I really love your steps because it's simple and it's so easy to get lost, especially on social media. Because and also too, I want to say if you're in an industry, which I know you guys can relate to, where it's like a lot of people doing what you do, you know, and stuff like that, you can get lost in that.
Right.
And, you know, and I have myself at one point got very lost. I was everywhere. And what worked for somebody else did not work for me whatsoever. And it was a hot mess. And I wasn't authentic to myself, you know, and my personality. And that was no good for, you know, anybody else. So, anyways, I was a hot mess in the beginning, but I'm okay now. But I like how these are both simple because you're staying professional and also true to yourself. And then these steps are simple. It's not like this long list, complicated thing. Like
Right.
at the end of the day, it
Not
doesn't
a million steps condensed into one.
Right.
Right, exactly. And it's not this complicated thing that you're all over the place and everywhere, and then you're just focused on what works best for you at the end of the day, based on your talent, skills, and your personality. So, like, these are things that I can even implement, you know, especially in the marketing part, because yeah, it sucks when you're like, okay, I am more of a in-person person. Like I can go somewhere and talk to people. When it comes to social media, I don't know what it is, but I am like so antisocial on social media, literally, and I get scared, I get nervous, it's just crazy. And so now it's like, okay, let me produce this post, and then you get little responses and you're like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, so then the consistency part is key to that. And also I like how you said, even if it's the same thing, you know, that's good because it does keep it fresh out of the mind. Because I mean, my attention span is like a 3-year-old. I mean, if that is so bad. And it's because of the scrolling that we have now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do blame that. And so it's like, if you can't catch me in the first few seconds, I'm not reading the whole thing, you know. And so but we do forget after that. We totally forget and we keep moving. But if I do notice people, because I'm a LinkedIn person, and I notice that the people that constantly, you know, post something, you know them for that. And so if there's a need that you have, you know that that person is an expert in that. And then they keep posting no matter what. So those are the ones that I recognize.
Right. And again, like plenty of people, just because they don't interact with you doesn't mean they're not paying attention, doesn't mean they're not observing, doesn't mean they won't. Like, we've had people hire us after years of knowing us, okay? We love to play the long game. So, like, we know that just because someone doesn't work with us immediately or someone doesn't buy from us immediately doesn't mean that they'll never be a client. You just treat everybody as if they would someday be a client, and they probably eventually will be.
Or they'll send someone else your way.
Right.
And Kim, you have your hand raised. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was making a bunch of racket because I'm working at the same time. So I had to, y'all can't see my chaos that I got going on right now. But it was a quick question. You mentioned several resources that you use. I caught Notion. I caught that one because I've heard it before and I have been just waiting. Oh my goodness, I've been dying to dive into it because I've historically been a fan of Evernote, but since they want me to pay a whole lot of money for one notebook and I've got like 75 in my account, yeah, no, we can't do that anymore. But what was the other, or could we have a list of the resources that you use?
Yeah, we will add a list of resources to the page today. Yeah. We should have thought about that, but yes, we will.
Thank you. I heard so many nuggets that I was like, oh, I gotta try that. Oh, I gotta try that too. So thank you. I appreciate it.
We use so many tools throughout our business, and we will recommend even the ones that we've used that aren't necessarily a great fit for us for one reason or another.
Because it might be a good fit for you.
We're usually the problem, don't get me wrong. So these tools are not the problem. We are often the problem. But so we will still list all of those out so you guys will have different options to look at. But yeah, definitely that's another one of those things that can get overwhelming fast. If you just do a Google search, say, what should I use for social media? And you'll just get stuck in the rabbit hole forever. So having somebody who can at least tell you their experiences and what's good and what's bad is still a huge help.
So yes,
Thank
we want that.
So I don't know if it's still in effect, but there is an offer, I believe, from Google for paid ads up to $10,000 for nonprofits. I don't know if that's still in effect, but that also does come with a warning to be prepared for the SEO that, you know, your business could receive on the back end. Did you ladies like elaborate on that a little bit more instead of hearing me hammer?
Well, so we haven't, I have seen that, but because our nonprofit isn't fully set up, we haven't actually taken advantage of it or anything. But definitely Google will always have offers like that. But as Jennifer said, it's important to be prepared, right? Because, and this is, I spend a lot of time on TikTok, not for business, for personal stuff. But one thing I've seen a lot on TikTok is people will go viral and then they will crash,
Right.
Because they were never prepared for
that kind of
business that they could get just overnight. And so I mean that's honestly something that any business should be prepared for, because you know you could be like, oh, I'm just doing marketing, no one's gonna see it, but suddenly everybody sees it, and suddenly everybody's placing orders and you don't know what to do.
Right.
But with Google specifically, with those sort of things, because I know another one they had was if you put $500 into advertising, then they will give you another $500 in advertising. With most of those kind of offers, Google is more than happy to help you through it. Like they'll usually provide you a person. Now, they're not doing that to be nice. They're doing that because the more money you make, the more money you get back to them.
Right.
But that's just business and that's fair.
Right.
But definitely if you sign up for G Suite, which we have for all of our businesses, I think that you're more likely to kind of get offers like that.
And it took me until getting into business to realize that those sponsored ads are specifically being paid for, and every time you click on it, it comes from the bank account of the small business. So if I see sponsored, let's say I'm looking for t-shirt.com and I see sponsored, I'll scroll down till I see the unt-shirt.com not sponsored, so that way I don't take out of their fund.
Right.
If I'm specifically looking for that website.
Honestly, some of those sponsored ads are incredibly smart, right? Like I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but it's like if I'm looking for McDonald's and I search McDonald's, but the first one on top will be Burger King because they're like, do you want a burger? We can give you a burger. And you're going to click on that first because the first thing you see, you completely forgot I was looking for McDonald's. And that's how sponsored ads are supposed to work.
Right.
You're supposed to see them first, and in theory, they will meet your needs. And so you'll just click on the one on top. Now, I've been doing this long enough that I tend to scroll past those because I know better, but not everybody does.
Right.
Yes, and so that's something that you can take advantage of, or some people who don't have such great SEO that no matter how hard you look to find them online, you can't, and instead their competition is what pops up.
Right.
Hence, they don't get the business the competition does. So that's SEO is not something we touch for that very specific reason. It is complicated and it is a specialty that you have to really be like up to date on. So that we don't touch SEO at all.
And it changes so often. SEO changes so
Yes.
often with whatever they are rolling out.
Right.
In marketing, like Tyann and you guys were just saying, marketing is marketing is marketing.
Right.
I mean, there are variations of, but at the end of the day, it is marketing. So, anyone else have a question? I'll go back to those are my 2 cents. Oh, Sasha raised her hand.
I just want to say thank you both for the presentation today. And one thing that did stand out to me was just to be your authentic self. Because in business, sometimes you want to be everything for everybody and you just can't. And I've been noticing that, like, oh, let me switch this up, or let me change this, or let me change the color to make it more, about the client or a client instead of what it is about me.
Right.
And that I'm selling my brand and I'm selling myself.
Right.
So I just want to say thank you for that. Just to keep that at the top of my head, just to keep being my authentic self.
And that's certainly something that we've learned the hard way through the years, right? Because first it was as website designers and now as coaches. When we were website designers, do you know how many website designers there are on Google? I don't know, 1 million. It's a lot. But if anything, it was our personality that had people coming to us. It was the fact that we didn't treat them like they were stupid if they had questions. It was the fact that we built real relationships with a lot of our clients who we're still friends with 9-10 years later. And it's going to be the same thing with coaching. If people are going to trust us to help them get their business to where they want to be, they have to like us as people. And in order to do that, we have to be our authentic selves. Now, we cut ourselves back just a little bit when it comes to professional because, business. But overall, we're not afraid to laugh or to be ourselves in front of our clients because our ideal clients understand that. And for anything, like us better for it. And I think another example of that is the fact that we are mompreneurs, right? I have 2 special needs kids with medical issues. My sister, her kids are fine, but she has 2 of them. And
mostly fine.
And so the fact is that they interfere in our business sometimes. And our ideal clients understand that. And so some people would be too afraid to say, I had to run to my child's school today. I have to cancel this meeting. But our ideal clients absolutely understand that. I mean, we're still professionals. We still keep our word as much as possible. But I don't have a problem with saying I'm a mom and sometimes things happen. And so I absolutely think you are going to be most successful if you're authentic to yourself and if you're not afraid to be you. Because working with clients who don't like you for who you are is draining and exhausting. And nobody wants that. So yeah, absolutely. Be your authentic self to a point.
To a point.
Because the right people will love you for it.
Thank you so much.
That's perfect. And I want to add, if you ladies want to drop your, if you guys have a website or drop, if you have the LinkedIn page or whatever, drop it in the inbox. And so we can all connect with each other and do that.
Yeah, anybody can find us on, like I said, if you go on the thank you page, our LinkedIn page is there. But if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn, you can find us. The pictures look exactly like right there. So you'll be able to tell who we are. Because we went to MIC, the Military Influencer Conference 2 weeks ago, and you would be shocked at how many people do not look like their pictures on their LinkedIn profile.
Or they're like, is
What?
that them? I think it looks like them.
I think before going to a major event, you should update your pictures, man. So
it was so confusing.
if you need to find us, I'm the one with the purple hair, but she's the one with the pink hair. Easy. So yeah. But definitely reach out to us if we can help you with anything, because that's what we're here for.
Right.
Go and copy and paste some sticker.
And I also want to add, I think I see this that, sorry, I'm reading the comment that Jennifer Labadie wants to know. We have an intellectual property series coming up at the beginning of the year, a part 4 on branding. And this Thursday is how to advertise your business for the holidays, hosted by, oh yes, SBA. Are you guys also connected to the chamber?
No,
or
we should be, but we're not.
oh,
Should be, but we're not.
is everybody else registered on the chamber, or do you have a profile on the Chamber of Commerce website?
Oh wait, the military spouse chamber? Yes, we are.
Yes, the
I thought you
military
meant like the
spouse
general
chamber.
chamber. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me see, and let me drop my information as well too. Give me 1 second. And also, with a copy of the training, actually, I'll have everybody's information will be dropped in there too. Let me add mine for LinkedIn.
So this Thursday, SBA is hosting a how to advertise your business for the holidays, including a special guest, Abby Malchow from Amazon. I can't remember the time. It's on our social media pages. I think it's 11 or 1:30 p.m. So it's SBA Spouse League, Veterans Growing America, Stephanie from the Chamber and the Rosie Network, and then Abby Malchow. And then we have a 4-part series at the beginning of the year on branding. That'll be hosted by Candace from Riverside, SoCal, California, and Jennifer Hewitt of Small Wins. And then later this month, Alyssa out of the Northeast Chamber, Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce, is going to be hosting a 4-part series with Claire Gibson on intellectual properties, trademarks, and patents. So that both of those are 4-part series, independent of each other, but they'll be the same URL links, not as this one, but for their 4-part series each. So be sure to join us. Keep an eye on social medias and on the newsletter, and you'll see those ones coming up as well. Let me see. I think actually I have Claire's right here.
Actually, Tyann, I just thought of something that we could do when closer to when the new year comes, though. So I'll email you about that later.
Yep.
I didn't unmute myself. That'll be perfect. Okay.
Yep. For the week. Yep. So anyway, those will be coming up. So it is navigating the brand ownership process, TM clearance, TM prosecution, and TM enforcement. November 22nd, January 10th, April 11th, and July 11th for the trademark intellectual property
We could
series.
definitely attend those. Yeah.
We should, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's open for all of us. And yeah, she's Alyssa's super pumped. Like Tyann is the DFW chapter lead. Alyssa's the Northeast region chapter lead. And she was like, yes, I will be the host for this event. So that way I can learn and host. So yeah, any other questions for these awesome subject matter experts on marketing today or in the future?
No, that's good. Thank you for dropping their milspousemomentum.com in the chat too. And it's okay, yes, it's MSCC, not MSSE. Okay.
That one's on us.
It's okay. You guys are human. I mean, come on. You're not AI bots, so. Oh, and I did want to add that when you talked about podcasts, there is a website called matchmaker.fm, which and it's totally free. You can have a profile, and there are people who are either like starting their podcast or they've had it a while and they're looking for guests. And you have your profile and they will reach out to you to become a guest and all that stuff. It's actually pretty amazing. I heard about it maybe about a year or 2 years ago. And so, or if someone has a podcast, they can put it on there as well. So it's pretty neat. I almost put matchmaker.com and I was like, ooh, let me look before I hated that it's matchmaker. It's too close to, but it's matchmaker.fm. So I had to make sure. So it's actually a pretty good resource. If you're looking to become a guest on podcasts. So I've been using it for a while. It's really good. And then you can look for like specific industries, specific guests, or become a specific guest and reach out to that person, and they'll see your profile too, and they'll reach out to you. So I do recommend that for like podcasting.
Yeah, we'll definitely add it to the list today.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess we can go ahead and end this. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. And I sent a few requests on my LinkedIn as well. So Is that it for everyone? Any questions, anything to add?
Thanks everyone for attending.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you so much for attending, everyone. Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for your presentation and all of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to using the essential. All right, I'm going to end it. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.